Toastmasters, a year and a half ago, I was asked the question, what makes you tick? It was the last question I was asked at the end of an 8-hour-long interview process. What makes you tick? At the time, I didn't even know what that meant. I remember the word tick kind of threw me off and made me think I was being asked like what made me mad, what pissed me off. But I could tell by the positive tonality in the interviewer's voice that was not what they meant. So I asked, what do you mean? And they said, what gets you out of bed in the morning? I thought for a second, the first thing that came to my head was my alarm clock. Not really, but I was fumbling through a response that made it pretty evident I didn't quite have that figured out for myself. I remember leaving the interview feeling more concerned with finding an answer to that question than I was with anything else. A couple of years prior to this, I was still pole vaulting, running track and field, and my motivators were pretty clear. I just wanted to jump as high as possible. That was it. I knew that the higher I jumped, the more accolades I'd receive, the more recognition, and the more plausible it'd be for me to continue in my sport. But after walking away from the sport, my motivators started to change and still remained relatively undefined. There were some material things I knew I wanted, and I knew I wanted to be successful, but when asked what motivates you, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what makes you tick, I couldn't articulate it. So I set out to define this for myself, and these are the 5 motivators I found. I compiled a list of all the things that I was in pursuit of, and I realized that most of them were pointing towards one thing. Motivator number 1. Above all else, I realized that I wanted time and location independence. What does that mean? It means I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with whoever I want. That's not too much to ask for, right? No. If I want to fly my mom to Bali for Mother's Day, I can. If I want to fly myself halfway across the world to go coach underprivileged youth track athletes, I can. The list goes on, but you get the point. But the question then became, how do I stay motivated in pursuit of that? Because after all, time and location independence, the achievement of that could be years or even decades away. So in answering that question, I found motivator number 2, growth. Seeing myself get closer to reaching my potential and finding out really what I'm capable of. I found it incredibly motivating. I realized one of my biggest motivators is just getting better at what I do. Take any area of life, for example. Health and fitness, seeing myself get stronger in the weight room or faster on the track. My career, for example, seeing myself take feedback, tweak little aspects of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it in my sales process, see my close ratio increase, and ultimately my clients happier as a result. But why do I want to grow? What's the point of growth after all? And answering that question, I saw that most everything was pointing towards one thing again, money. Motivator number 3, and a truckload of it to be exact. If I'm going to achieve time and location independence, I'm going to need a lot of money. And in a cyclical fashion, in order to make a lot of money, I'm going to need to be growing in all directions and really reaching my full potential. But once I had the money, what do I do with it to make sure that I never run out of it? Cue motivator number 4, real estate. Something I've started and am motivated to continue doing is taking the money I make and rolling it into great rental properties in great markets in great locations throughout the US. Why real estate though? It's the only asset class that I found so far that can provide you with monthly cash flow, equity buildup through debt paydown, appreciation, and pretty lucrative tax benefits. So if you do it correctly, preserving wealth for generations to come. I can feel our financial advisors glaring at me right now. Might need a bodyguard coming out of the room. But this brings me to motivator number 5, service. Ultimately, I just want to take care of my family and my future family. I can't think of anything much more motivating than being able to give back to the people that raised me, the people that have sacrificed so much for me, and really being able to put my future family in the best position possible. So there you have it. What motivates me? What gets me out of bed in the morning? What makes me tick? Time freedom, growth, money, real estate, and family. Thank you.